Everything's coming in. So good morning, everyone. I'm Judge Person, and I do welcome everybody to court this morning. Thank you for being here. Even though we have the convenience of the home where people can be at their job or in their work or what have you, this is still court. The court orders are binding. And also, I do expect a certain amount of, sorry, I'm getting all these notices on the screen. I expect a certain amount of decorum from folks, okay? So I'm Judge Person. I welcome everybody to court. I will kind of give a basic overview of how things move through a court and the options that you have. I can't tell you what you should do. I can't apply the law to your case, but I can tell you how things move through a court so that you understand the options available. So when we're given a ticket or issued a citation, those are all methods that we have under the law for accusing someone. That is what a ticket is. It's an accusation. A plea is a answer or response to that accusation. And there are three options for pleading: guilty, not guilty, and no contest. Now, our law tells us which direction our case will go based upon our plea. So if we plead guilty, we're admitting the offense, and that case is moving towards sentencing. If we plead no contest, we're not contesting or admitting the offense, and that case is heading towards sentencing. If we plead not guilty, we are saying, state, I don't agree, and that means the state must prove that case against us. We're maintaining the innocence that the law presumes, but it's a little bit bigger than that. We are requesting a trial indirectly because the burden is then on the state to prove the case. If you plead not guilty, instead of heading to sentencing, we're heading to trial where you may or may not be sentenced. We don't know. So there are different procedures. That's really what I'm highlighting while highlighting these three pleading options. If you plead guilty or no contest, normally the judge accepts your plea, finds you guilty, and sentences you. There are some exceptions. I'm going to talk about those in a moment. If you plead not guilty, there's normally a pretrial. Sometimes there are many pretrials. We try to keep it down to 2, and no more than 2. At the first one, we do online because it's convenient. The second one we do here in court because there are statutory requirements for me handling you and talking to you about the rights that you have that I do not find appropriate to just do online. So we do that here and we set the case for trial at that setting, okay? So when you receive, if you pled not guilty, and most of the people here today are on the not guilty docket, that's just how it works sometimes. If you plead not guilty, you're scheduled for Zoom, and on your paper, you are also scheduled for another date to come in. So one's online, one's live. It says it right in front, the live hearing, the online hearing. You're probably focused on the online hearing today. And I'll highlight today before you leave the next date, okay? Now, sometimes people plea bargain. They negotiate their case with the prosecutor. You're not required to come to an agreement, but I do ask, and I'm allowed to ask, that both parties really take a good look at their case. The prosecutor has certain rules and restrictions that seat requires, in this case, him to follow. As a citizen, I'm asking that you look at your case and decide, is it going to trial worthy? Is that what I want to do? And if the answer is yes, the answer is yes. I'm not going to challenge you on that. I'm asking you to do it. I'm not challenging. Okay. So if you plead guilty or no contest, I'm moving that case through a sentencing process. Now, I do have a few people on the docket today who are in a sentencing process and it's not working out. That highlights something particular, which is that if you have a sentence and it isn't working out, you have a duty to contact the court and figure out either what you need to do if you don't understand, or, if you can't do it, and I'll talk more about that in a moment, what options might be available. So you have a duty to keep up with it. You have a duty to keep your address current so that you don't get a warrant. If you miss deadlines, you're subject to one. I send notices out to the address on file when there are problems. I'm only allowed legally to use that address. Now, we sometimes send complimentary things through the mail, but when I'm starting to, get into whether a warrant's getting issued and I send it to an address that doesn't work and it comes back undeliverable, I'm still allowed to issue that warrant. It doesn't flummox me and keep me from doing things. It hurts you. So always keep your address and phone number and email correct. That will help. And be looking if you know you have an active case. If you know you have a deadline and you don't meet it, you should expect that there will be a reaction. So you'll want to reach out, preferably before you default. If you've already defaulted and you're here, I want to try what I can do to work with you. Okay. So I'm always willing to listen, but the law starts narrowing your options down the longer you wait. Okay. Now let's talk just a minute about what happens if you're found guilty. I do think it's important, even if you go to trial and are successful. I still think it's important up front for everybody to be on the same page about how things move through a court. So if you plead guilty or no contest, the judge accepts the plea and then sentences you. And law works like this. There's a general rule and then a list of exceptions. So the general rule is you're found guilty, it goes on your record, and this is a Class C court, so you're sentenced to pay fines and costs, not jail time. Jail time is from violating your court order or just not showing up in the first place. Okay. Now, what are the exceptions to being found guilty? What are the exceptions on paying? So in terms of payment, I do ask for income information. I usually ask at the very beginning, that way we've got it in case we need it. That's used in sentencing. In the not guilty context, that is used to set a bond. You're required to set a bond to schedule trial. So I am still trying to get that information, even though you ultimately could be found not guilty. Okay. And people look at that and go, but I'm not guilty. I shouldn't have to give that information. I am allowed to ask. And if you don't want to give it, then you post a cash bond. I just do the paper in lieu of a cash bond because frankly, cash going back and forth sort of gets a little unwieldy for the court, and a piece of paper is easier and it's not as much as a credit card application would be. So I do ask for it, and I'm legally allowed to ask for it. So, and to enforce it if you don't. So that's one reason I ask. But I also ask because if a person is in a sentencing situation, they may qualify for other types of relief, like a reduction, like a combination of community service and payment, community service, and so forth. So in the sentencing context, I push and I look at it because making a judgment that you can't do, that's unrealistic, means that I'm going to have a bigger docket of people who failed on their court order. That doesn't benefit the court, and it certainly doesn't benefit you. So I'm trying to do a reality check at that point as I sentence. Okay. I have been doing this for about 20 years now, and I know what I'm looking for, and I know where the points of failure tend to lie. Okay. I also know when people are just not tending to business. Okay. So just in terms of sentencing, I also use the same information. There's no reason to do 5 pieces of paper when you can do 2. So I just do it one time and ask you to update it if it changes. Okay. That's what's available when we look at sentencing. The other options in sentencing pertain to when you can have something dismissed off your record. So let me tell you what we've got. Okay. There are 4 ways to gain a dismissal directly from the bench, even where you've pleaded guilty or no contest. Remember, guilty is admission. Not guilty is challenge, move to trial. No contest is not admitting, not denying. Okay. For purposes of dismissals, guilty and no contest work the same way. It's just a question of what's comfortable, familiar, works for you if you're moving into one of these options. But to consider these options, I need a plea that allows me to do it. So guilty or no contest, then I look for, is the case available to be dismissed through compliance? I'll explain in a moment. Moving violations for dismissal through a driver safety course option. Requests by a defendant for deferred disposition. requests by a defendant for teen court. So those are the 4 things I have. Now let me sort of branch out a little bit and tell you a little bit about how they work. Compliance dismissals are things that can be brought up to date and dismissed by state law. State law must specify, or I don't have authority to do it. The media doesn't help us because it says the judge threw cases out. Judges can't throw cases out. They don't have authority to do that. Once a case is filed, both parties have a right to be heard, and there are restrictions to when things can just push out the door and be dismissed. So if the law specifies, then we look at trying to see if you can get to the point where it can be dismissed. These are, if I label them all and list all the details, you are not going to listen anymore, because I wouldn't either. It's about 15 things. Let me give you an example. You're driving down the road, you put on your blinker, you get cited for not putting on your blinker, except the officer writes the light bulb burned out, because you're like, but I did. And they're like, no, you didn't. And then what you figure out with that conversation is you did, but the blinker is broken. You got to get it fixed. You come to court on time. You've gotten it fixed. You have proof that it's fixed that we can put into the file. We dismiss and you pay $10 instead of $189, whatever that ticket is right now. So I will automatically look for those things. I don't actually see a bunch of those. There might be 1 or 2 on the list, but I'm always looking for that. You're welcome to say, does it ask me? You know, you can ask about it. But you can also assume that I'm just looking. Those all require that you be on time to court, by the way. And the court date was on the ticket, right? Okay, so that's compliance dismissals. And by the way, this is all on the website too. The second option is a moving violation. With a moving violation, certain drivers, certain licenses allow you to be eligible to have a dismissal of a moving violation, again, on time to court. Then you have a course and a driving record that have to be on time, specific course, specific record. We give you all that in writing, including your dates. Let's talk for just a minute in this context about money. And money's not a favorite topic. You know, I was always told don't talk about death, taxes, or money. And we probably talk about most of those in court every day. So with a ticket, when you get a ticket, if you call a clerk and go, how much is this ticket? And they say, you know, $300, and it's a lot of money. And you go, well, God, how did that happen, right? So one way that might have happened is a warrant. I just looked down at one and it has one. However, all tickets have a court cost and a fine. The court costs are set by the Texas legislature. Good luck changing their mind. Okay. Our representatives who we elect set those. I can't change those, and they actually get collected first. The fines are set by the judge. That would be yours truly. Okay. The judge sets the fine. The judge has control of the fine at sentencing. Okay. Now, one thing to understand about the fine is in the driving safety course context, you just pay the court costs. You get your record and your course turned in. I dismiss your charge off your record. Your fine is just sitting here on hold. When I dismiss, I waive that amount. If you pay the cost, the record, and the course, it's cheaper than the whole ticket. And that is by design, because we know that people who take the course drive a little bit better for approximately 12 months, 6 to 12. So we're allowed to do it once a year under state law. It's a program. They could take it away. They don't seem to be wanting to do it. Nothing got filed this session, so they're not debating that one. It's pretty good to go. So driving safety course, what you can expect from me is that I'll push you a little if it looks like you could be qualified. If you don't want to do that, you don't want to do that. I get it. Some people don't want to do that. Time is more important than money for those folks. I assume money's pretty important. I assume your record's pretty important. It might be one or both. Okay. For some people, none of it matters, but I assume that you're on, that you showed up, that you didn't just pay your ticket at the window because you're interested. So if I've got it wrong and I'm pushing you toward one of these things and you don't want to do it, you let me know. Okay. Third option is a deferred disposition. This one works a little differently. Deferred means to delay. Disposition means to make final. I delay making your case final. I put your plea on hold, guilty, no contest. I don't have an opinion about that. If I grant the deferral, I will put a list of items onto a piece of paper called a court order. It tells you what you need to do to gain a dismissal. Now, most of these are passive. Don't reoffend. Don't get arrested. Don't fail to come to court if you have a court date. Keep your address current. Okay. There might be a course, a record, an item, a certification, something you have to bring in. It kind of depends on what the offense is or was, the allegation. We have to sort out payment of fines and costs. Bingo, that form comes in again for that one. If you request a deferred and I grant it and put a list of conditions in, you'll know what you need to do to gain a dismissal. It is a known outcome. Okay. You must request a deferred at the time that your plea is accepted. Okay. Guilty or no contest. I'd like a deferred. It's pretty simple. Okay. And most of us walk into court nervous and we go, what's the magic language? I don't know what to say. What's the magic language? That's the magic language. I'd like a deferred. Guilty or no contest, I'd like a deferred. I don't have an opinion about your plea. I am not here to side with one party or another. I'm here to facilitate, move things forward, and make decisions at trial. And we follow the law. So I enforce that. Okay. And that's a legal provision. When you go to a higher level court, like the county for anything, if you've ever watched anything over there, the prosecutor is always part of that deferral process. The prosecutor here can negotiate a deferral with you, and you'll bring that to me, and I say yes or no to that request again. But you can negotiate that with the prosecutor. In a Class C court, you're allowed to ask the judge directly on about 98% of the cases. And if you ask, and it's one where I need the prosecutor's involvement, I'll just explain. So just ask if you're looking to do that. At the end of the deferral, they run up to 6 months. At the end, I check, I make sure you've done the things that you were supposed to do on time. If you've done them, I sign the dismissal. I'm obligated. I signed off on it. I said, yes, I will. If you do these things, I will sign that dismissal. But you must request at the time of the plea, and the judge must accept or deny it. If I accept or deny it, that's it. Okay. So that's that one. That's number 3. And then the fourth and final one is called teen court. Teen court is for students. They typically are middle school or high school students. Sometimes they're enrolled in a GED program or something equivalent, including homeschool. I don't know, but I need proof of it, that you're enrolled heading to that diploma. Then you could be in the program. It looks a little like deferred. There are things to do. The burden, though, is on the young person instead of the parent. Okay. The young person is learning from what got them to court. The goal of teen court is ultimately to shield your record so that your job future is not at risk. And 2, and this is probably the more important item, that you learn the most you can from behavior that got you here, got you accused, whether it's totally right or somewhat wrong or what have you. But we want to address it so that you get it off your record. A parent just paying money doesn't do that. A young person doing things that will help them learn does. Teen Court is our most effective program for non-reoffense in the future that we have. So I will push it a little bit if you're in middle school, high school, homeschooled, et cetera. If your family is just saying, no, we're going to take the debt on and punish at home, that's family decision. And I'm not able to get in the middle of that entirely. But I would urge you to reconsider because it will be less effective. It would be better to make your young person available for teen court, support them in getting it done, and let's get on down the road. So if we're engaging in teen court, I definitely have a kind of opinion because I've seen the statistics and I've watched young people for years. Okay, so that's the 101. When it's your turn, if you have questions, just ask. Mr. Matson, I'm going to start you off because literally you have an almost 100% turnout docket and I have like almost a 0. So I want to get you moving. And then I have a few people I need to figure out who they are. So let me just begin. Your first person, Tamara Campbell. Tamara Campbell, can you unmute and just let me know your perfect. What's going to happen is y'all will just literally pop over into a private space and have a conversation. When you come back, I have a few words for both of you at the end. So you're coming back before you leave. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. And here we go. Moving you over. If you can't move back on your own, I will assist. Okay, and that's moving. I have a telephone caller. It's a 254 telephone call. Then area code 254. And then there's like a 214 number at the last 3 to 4 digits. I'm hitting you with an unmute request, just specifically to that person with that phone number. Can you unmute and tell me your yes? Hi.
I'm Andrew Dobbins.
Okay, Mr. Dobbins.
How you
Thank
doing?
you. I gotcha. What's going to happen now is that you're in queue and I've got you logged in as part of this. You were actually pretty early on, so we'll be with you shortly. But what I want to tell you is it's not uncommon for folks on the telephone to sort of zone out because they put their phone down, they've got it on audio, it's kind of quiet. They don't realize their name's getting called. So I'm going to remute you in a moment and I'll recall your name shortly. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just keep an ear out. In other words, thank you. And I'm
Thank you,
Judge.
Anna.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm Judge Person. I also have Amanda Watkins, and I don't know who you're connected to, but I think it might be the person sitting with you. Could you tell me the full name on the case?
Yes, it would be Shaden Ramirez.
Okay. And that means prosecutor. And again, I saw y'all at the earliest part logging in. However, I didn't know who you were. So now I've got you logged in and I'll just change the name on the screen. It's temporary,
Okay.
just so that I don't lose track of who you are. There we go. Okay. And then that just leaves me with talking to Derek Norman. Hi, Mr. Norman. Can you unmute?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Are you unable to be on screen while you talk? Because that sometimes happens for folks.
Oh, I swiped the screen over to, I
There you
guess
go.
I have to unmute.
Yeah, you're good. You're unmuted and I see you. It's all good. Everything's working great.
Okay.
First of all, how are you today?
I'm feeling all right.
Good. I'm just looking through all of our stuff that we have together. It's a lot, as you know,
Yes, ma'am.
and I have a pending case. I want to talk first about the pending case. This is December 5th, and it is a rubbish charge. The fines and costs are $2,076. The allegation date is for December 5th. We're scheduled today to talk about that. Give me a moment. I think, how are you pleading to that charge?
No contest.
Okay.
It's for December. Would that be December 22?
Yeah,
2022?
well, I believe so. Let me double check. Yes, December 5th of 2022. The cases prior to that, your 2021 cases and so forth, how they all have pleas. That's the only one that's open. So you were pleading again to that no contest, did you say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, hold on, I need to make a note for the clerk. Okay. So, we talked the last time about the community service provider situation.
Yes,
And,
ma'am.
you keep going to places that aren't approved. And I've explained to you multiple times, I'm not able to take those legally. It's not personal. It's legally, I'm not allowed.
Yes, ma'am.
So I mean, it's great that you're serving in the community. I'm not at all, but I'm not able to credit it. I'm not trying to make this difficult. But I do have to enforce the order that I keep making. And
Yes,
what
ma'am.
I'm getting after I tell you that, and then you turn in something and ask for more time. And my feeling is I'm not really inclined to grant an extension where someone is, I don't know, but disregarding my instructions and orders. So I have an approval process, okay, for something that's off the list. It doesn't mean it will be approved. It means I at least can look at it within the first 2 weeks before you put a bunch of energy into it and
Yes,
see
ma'am.
if it's going to qualify. If you let that 2 week window go by and you don't do it, my assumption is you use the list. Now, I did that with you several times. I couldn't accept any of the things you turned in. So I have said with you, you may not go off the list anymore because it's wasting the court's time. You're wasting your own time. That's your business. It may not be a waste to you. There may be great benefit there. I don't know. But and that's really not my business. I don't need to wade into your business to that level. But the fact is, I've got a list and you need to use it. So, this is a new case. It gets added. Let me get a total number again. The real answer is to stop having the problem that they're going to keep citing you for.
Yes.
Because now we're at 737 hours. And, it's not that I think you could get it all done in 60 days, but I'm going to give you 60 days because I need to see progress before I know whether I'm going to continue in what is feeling to me like a charade. So the 2 week acceptance process of a nonprofit, we're not doing that here because we've tried it too many times. And I'm allowed to say, no, not anymore. Use what's provided. The list provided is the list you're allowed to use. And it's either that or set up reasonable payments with a chunk done because most of this is just pending. So, we've had things pending. We've had some credit turned in that I could credit you, but now we're moving into it doesn't meet the standards. So that's my order as of this day. I have read your file extensively because I really feel like I've given you every benefit, everything you've written into me. But the fact is, I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere with you. I feel like you're blatantly disregarding the court's order, and I'm going to start enforcing it hard.
Okay. Your Honor, may I, so you're saying I wouldn't be able to work with the clean creators is what you're saying?
Let me get the clerk in. We disallowed that. Yeah, it's not on the list.
Okay, because I do remember last time you did say I would have to use one that was on your list.
Yeah.
And that's why I also wrote the court back asking if I would be able to use clean creators because
Right, because what you're trying to do is say, I know you told me no, but I'm going to try to get a clerk to tell me yes, and it's not going to work. They're not able to. So stop doing that.
Okay, well that was last time. I was just asking that, and then
I don't think it takes this number of months for you to hear me and understand me.
okay, and then two, doing my community service out there. My vehicle was hit last weekend, and so right now I currently I don't really have a ride. I'll be able to use a ride.
You have a
Possibly
business in this community. You have a structure that you own in this community. So you need to figure that out.
all right.
So we will email the new timesheet if you like, if that would be.
Yes.
We'll re-email the list to you. The new timesheet will have all of the current due hours and the deadline. And
Okay.
after that, I need to see progress that's appropriate.
Yes, ma'am. And Your Honor, also, I was able to last month. I had some of the tires moved off because my
But they
financial.
just keep coming back. Like every time you do that, it's like takes them away, puts them back. So I can't really wade into that case. I'm just telling you that code will keep writing you up for it. And I don't control the code enforcement department. If they write you up, they write you up. But
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
if it's there, they will circle around when it's appropriate to do so, and they will continue to cite for any violations occurring. And I really don't know, what else to tell you about that other than that it's what I see always that they do with everyone, not just you. And that's all I really can say about that.
Okay.
I am going to, however, give you the time we discussed And like I said, I understand that you can't do all of these hours, but it's really the last time I'm going to give you the benefit of any doubt, because I don't really think that there has been any doubt. But the fact that you're here, I'll try one more time. And I think I made myself clear before. So I don't expect to clarify it again. It's written in black and white.
Yes, ma'am.
Read it and sort it out.
All right.
I
Thank
do
you.
wish you the best. Okay.
Thank- Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Matson, I'm moving Tamara Campbell to the session. And I'm also letting in an unknown. We'll click around for a second. Let's start with Tamara Campbell first. If I can get an update on this matter, that would be great.
Your Honor, we're going to continue to final pretrial.
Okay. Right now, I have that listed. Final pretrial is May 3rd at 2:00. Expect to be here an hour, though it may not take that long. If you're a little early, sometimes that's helpful.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll see you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're good to go. Mr. Matson, moving you forward, your next person be Andrew Dobbins, who's on the phone. Andrew Dobbins, can you unmute? Mr. Dobbins, can you unmute? It can take a second, but Andrew Dobbins. Mr. Dobbins. We'll come back to that. Colton Hampton would be next. Mr. Hampton, can y'all unmute? Set up, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I will move y'all over to that meeting, okay? I did get a Zoom user who came into the meeting just now. I let you in, even though it's 9:35. Could I find out who you are, please?
Yes, Nora McGrew.
Okay. Hi, Ms. McGrew. How are you?
Hi.
Are you able
I'm-
to get on screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we've tried a number of things. And I did get your note. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you on screen? There you are. Thank you. So I do see some other concerns. Give me just a moment. Are you still working at Olive Garden?
Yes, Judge.
And then let me just double check some things. Okay, so we've tried payment plan and a payment was made, and then we shifted to community service. And you had 67 hours due. There's a number of cases. And the due date was March 21st. I don't have any hours turned in. I want to start there because I don't want to skip an opportunity to give you some credit. Did you do any of the hours at a provider that was approved?
Yes, Judge. A couple hours.
Here.
At the hospice thrift store, the Scotland White one in Belton, they still have the form.
Can you get it from them?
Yes, I'll be able to get it from them.
It's a $20 an hour credit. So it's a pretty good job. So, all kidding aside, I would like to get that. We've got a timeline on that where I need to get it pretty soon.
Yes, ma'am.
So I could give you until next week, by the end of next week, the 21st.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though it's out of date, okay? So I'm just making a note for the clerk. 4/21 is the turn-in date for anything that I'm gonna credit from the previous order, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Then I received a request for a payment plan. And I do show that you could do a payment plan as long as it was, realistic. I'm willing to do that, but we do have a high balance and not a lot of progress for a while. First question, I'm gonna ask everybody this, so don't feel picked on. Are you able to pay anything towards this outstanding balance?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. And are your waiting tables there? So you get a paycheck, but you also get tips. And
Yes.
that's like constant plus a paycheck. What works for you in terms of like when we collect a payment? And then I think on your form, you ask to pay $50 a month.
Yes.
It's going to take a long time for you to get through this at $50 a month. I can order it at 50. However, I'm just going to tell you, you're probably going to want it when you get extra money. You can put money toward it without having a penalty.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So, but I know you have kids and you juggle like so many of us. So, when can we start $50 a month? Like, could we start by the 21st next Friday when you're coming in anyway, maybe to bring hours?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to put that as our start date. 4/21.
Okay.
Now, you missed the conversation we had before you logged in. No, you didn't. Yeah, you did. I'm sorry. You're on my docket and you're the only person on my docket. So I had a long speech I gave, and listen, there's a duty to keep up with things, and you result in a warrant if you don't. And I don't really have a desire to issue warrants for people. But my position is that people make them necessary. So that means you can avoid that by not skipping deadlines when things are due. And it's very human nature for us to stick our heads down and go, man, I can't handle it. Maybe it'll go away. And we all know it doesn't work, but we do it. You don't want to do it with a court. Okay. And I just want to give you that caveat at the beginning. Now, all I really need from you today, because we're set today, is a signature. So I can email a new payment plan form to you. If you can print it and sign it and email it back. Our other option is for you to come by the court sometime today and make a signature. So what's going to work the best for you?
Email.
Okay. So you can print it, sign it, and email it back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm willing to do that. All right. Do you have any questions about what we're doing?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The goal is to keep you out of warrant, okay?
Yes.
I'm sure that's your goal too. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Then I'll let you go with the thanks of the court.
Okay. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to cool our heels a little bit because y'all are all waiting for Mr. Metz. And I've got folks who didn't show up. So I've got to start doing the documentation process for warrants. So you'll just watch me boringly looking down at paper, but I'm paying attention and we'll get to your case. Okay. Andrew Dobbins, if you can hear me, we're passing over your case. I'll keep trying, but if you can unmute, you could be seen, heard, at least heard. I'll just actually.
Hello?
Hi.
Your Honor, are you there?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, man. I heard you every time you talked. My phone. I apologize. I just why I couldn't do the Zoom. I apologize to you in the court.
Right.
Every time, even the first time.
Sorry.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Every time you spoke, I was trying to speak, but it wouldn't.
Yeah, you were on mute. So I'm going to
Yes,
leave you.
ma'am.
If you can be just sort of sit quietly and wait for your turn, I'm going to leave you off mute for now and see if we can take you next. I skipped your turn, but I can work you right back in. But I
Yes,
need
ma'am.
the prosecutor is who you're going to need to be speaking with, and he's speaking with someone else right now.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll be with you shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, while we wait, I just want to say thank you for listening to my case respectfully.
That's definitely my duty and my job.
I had the officer that put me over. I'm not trying to be complaining, but I just want to explain. He was like,
Go ahead.
he was like, I just didn't like that he used my last name, Dobbins. You know what I'm saying? It kind of hurt me, had me crying at the scene. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm doing something to break that chain of the last name thing. You know what I'm saying? Of people
Well,
getting in trouble.
yeah, everybody's
But
got a different opinion about that. So
yes, ma'am.
yeah, I don't
Yes,
know.
ma'am.
I mean, it lands differently on everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
I have young people telling me that they do that because they don't know people's pronouns anymore. They just use. I don't know, but I think the answer is for us to all be a little more aware of one another. The case, though, itself is really about whether you had insurance at the time of the stop. And
Yeah, they had nothing to do with it.
wait a minute. I am speaking.
I'm sorry.
And that's really going to be what the prosecutor is going to be focused on when you'll have that conversation. You've pleaded not guilty to that charge, so we're involved in the process of heading toward trial. I can't vet the facts of that case. Okay. You can talk to him about that. As far as an officer, and if you have a complaint about an officer, the Temple Police Department does take all written complaints very seriously, and they will communicate with you about that. And if there's a complaint about behavior of another person, it's really not part of whether someone had insurance or not, but you can take that to the appropriate department if you wish to do so.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we're just sitting tight waiting for your case time, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Are you driving?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm actually parking.
You're not supposed to be driving while you're on a court meeting.
Okay, I'm parking. Right now, pulling over as we speak. I'm taking the keys out the ignition so you can hear it and stuff.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I saw him leave the room. Okay, Mr. Matson, I know that you were talking with the Hampton family. And I'm moving them back. Okay, on the Hampton case, where are we?
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to make a recommendation for teen court.
Okay, I'll
And
accept.
I think that a brief discussion with Mrs. Hampton about what that looks like is probably going to be beneficial for this case.
Okay, sure, yeah, at age 11, I would expect nothing else. I'll do that. I will talk to them about that and Hampton family, I'll be right with you. Mr. Matson, I'm gonna move you forward with Andrew Robbins. He's on a phone call and I finally got him able to. There he went. Mr. Hampton, or family, I'm sorry. It's not, yeah, okay. On the Hampton case. There we
Yes,
go.
ma'am.
Hi. So I just wanted to check in with y'all and just kind of explain the way that teen court works in this particular context, because Colton is actually considerably young. So we would not be doing a group event with other teens. We would simply have you come in, meet with a case manager and the family, Colton plus a parent, and we would talk about what's appropriate as a sentence that is doable within your family constraints. There is a $20 fee, and that's a cash fee. Are you able to pay that fee today?
Yes, we could talk to a caseworker today if needed.
Yeah, it has to be, I think, today, really.
Okay.
And we like to make one trip instead of multiple trips. So coming in, paying the $20, and y'all would come up with a sentence that is appropriate. Often there's a class or a therapy type situation that we want to get into to help with whatever this was. Because it was a not guilty, I didn't really look in depth to it, because we also need Colton's signature on some of the forms.
We need what?
There's some forms that y'all signed, and we're going to need to get signatures from Colton on those forms, because you
all of
signed.
them sent in supposedly.
Yeah, but I'm missing signatures,
Okay.
like where it says his signature and parent signature. The parent signed, but he didn't sign. He does need to sign.
Okay.
I have to get that signature before I can proceed with teen court. We can do that while you're here. I want to let you just let me talk for a moment. So that's something we can do while you're here. And that is required because those are written forms that he needs to have a copy of, because at a later date, he may need that information. So we need to cross that box off for very specific reasons. Now, then with teen court, the case manager would make a recommendation to me, coming up with an agreement after a discussion with y'all about what's appropriate to try to help Colton not have more contact with the legal justice system. Okay, what did you need to tell me?
We do have all of his papers signed, that I signed and then he signed. We sent them.
Okay, when did you send them?
It was 2 days after I signed. We got him to go through them and sign them after school. And then I took pictures of them and sent them into the address, the court online help at Temple, Texas.
Okay, I'll have somebody dig around and see if they can find those, but why don't you just bring them with you so we can make sure?
We can do that. What time do we need to be today?
That's the next question. When can you be here?
11.
I think that's going to work. Yes. Okay. 11 will work. I have a case manager here right now, so. And you are the parent, Danielle, is that right?
parent. The other person present is my mother, his grandparent. We're the only 2 adults in his life.
Well, I'm glad he has 2 adults in his life. That's going to make things a lot better. Y'all are all welcome to come, but I do need a parent. Okay.
Okay. Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
We'll see y'all around 11. When you get here, it's not a long hours and hours thing. You're going to come in, let any clerk know that you're here for the case manager. Hand them those forms so they can make sure that we've got them receipted in properly and the $20 fee. And then the case manager will also sit down and come up with something that will hopefully help Colton not have any more criminal justice contact. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Colton.
We need to wear a mask.
Sorry.
We need to wear a mask or something.
My position on the mask is that it's a very good idea and it's welcome, but we do not, and we have them. If you want to wear one and you don't have one, we'll hand you one. If you don't want to wear one, I don't force people to wear them anymore.
I have a lot of masks.
Okay. Right. Me too. Me too, Colton. I wear them. I like protecting the people around me. And I know a lot of people with vulnerable health issues.
I probably
Okay. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Matson, I know you were talking with Andrew Dobbins, and he's here. Where are we with that matter?
Your Honor, Mr. Dobbins told me that he would be able to bring proof of insurance to the court.
Will it cover the date of stop?
No, Your Honor, but he was given the ticket on a Friday and he obtained insurance on a Monday. And he did submit the 1 month proof of insurance. And now he says that he has additional insurance. That first month card expires today, but he has gotten coverage that continues. So he's going to bring that by. And once I receive that, I will be dismissing that ticket because of the fact that he obtained it pretty quickly after the ticket.
Okay. And at what time, when are we, Mr. Dobbins, when can you bring that in today? What time?
I'm bringing it in. I'm bringing it in within the next 20 minutes, Your Honor.
Okay. We'll look for that to come on in by like say 10:30, and then we'll check for it and see if we can get that dismissal generated for you. And if we can, I'll sign it.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, we'll do.
You're good to go for now. We'll see you here in the building shortly.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank y'all, and God bless y'all.
Thank you.
All right. So I can hang up?
You can. Bye-bye. Mr. Matson, just so that you know, RB Etheridge came in and just paid the citation. So that one is off of your to-do list today. Your next person is actually Shaden Ramirez. Shaden Ramirez, can y'all unmute, please?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to move you over to the meeting. So on this one, this is going to be Carmen. there's one case, it's a DWI that she has. I'm willing to take the fine as a waiver of the fines and costs. She's a no-show. The note can just say, she can head to warrant. If she comes in to set up payment, she can have $25. You gotta get her off the community service list. She isn't gonna do it. And, you know, if she goes to warrant, then she goes to warrant. So. I mean, she's got some hardship. Problem is she gets other things done. You already got it in this document? No. Okay. So wouldn't do it if he doesn't. Gotcha. This is Annette Jimenez, and she's already in work. There's really nothing to do but just note. I'm not sending that to community service because she shows like they have too many bills, but like they have bills that shouldn't be what they have. And I can't talk to her if she's not on, so we're not gonna do anything. I'm not sending that into community service at this time. Thank you, Mr. Matson. Let me get the other party. Okay, on the Ramirez case, where are we?
Your Honor, I'll be making a recommendation of teen court on this case as well.
Okay. I'm going to move you forward. Do you have anything specific or you want me to get the case manager to make a recommendation?
I think that either a class or a community service or some combination of the two is the most appropriate for this case.
Okay, we'll work with them and figure out what would work best. Thank you. And I'll be right with you, Ramirez family. Mr.
Okay.
Matson, just stay right there. Mr. Matson, let me move you forward with Rita Call. This call, can you unmute?
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I'll move you on over to the meeting at this time.
Okay.
And Shaden Ramirez and family. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. And so Shaden is in school at THS, is that right?
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay. And hi, Shaden. How old are you today? Remind
I'm
me.
14.
Okay. And teen court's a good option. It keeps the item from being on your record. There is a $20 cash fee with teen court. Is it possible to pay that fee today, Mom?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what we really do is come in and have just a sit down conversation with the juvenile case manager who will bring a recommendation to me. I usually sign off on that recommendation. But what they're looking to do is one, talk to Shaden about what maybe got us here in the first place. Also, Mom will want to hear from you what you think might work or be helpful for Shaden to learn from the experience. The other part is if y'all are already doing some things that we need to know about, like if I don't know this case from another, this is what I say to everyone, but if you have counseling and your management, anything like that already happening and you're paying for services, we'll want to know so that we
are.
Okay, come on in with and have a discussion because we can take a little bit of consideration to that so that we're not doubling up on the challenge. So I'm just putting a note. Maybe y'all are in counseling.
Yes, we are.
Okay, very good. We don't wade in and get involved in your counseling because counseling, but we do like to know when are you going, how much are you spending there, proving effective, notice changes. Those are helpful things to think about on your way here to just
Okay.
express to that case manager. And we'll just look for that meeting to take place today. What time will work? Can y'all come in pretty shortly?
Yes, ma'am. We can actually head out here within the next 5 minutes, so we should be there about 10:30.
Okay, yeah, don't rush because the case manager is currently assisting in the court, but 10:30-ish works great.
Okay.
All right.
And it's just at the same place that we were when we filed our paperwork where you're at, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. You come into any clerk, tell them you're here to talk, and they'll get someone to meet.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Shaden.
Thank you, ma'am.
See you soon.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll be interested to hear. Did he send him? There was one person. And there was one person. And was he the active person being killed, or was he the one singing? think he might be the same door. Yeah, he's one of those. This is boiling. I'm here, folks. I'll be right back. Unfortunately, it's just the truth that we're dealing with a lot of that now. Very good. I need to know about that course. I would like to make Joaquin take that course. He hasn't done anything that's a problem, but I don't want him to. Could you provide me with that? Okay, that would be awesome. He and I will do it together. It'll be homework for me. Yeah. Oh. Thank you. But I don't, since he's in counseling, I don't think he needs to do any additional community service, but it sounds like this class is good. Like minimum. Mr. Matson, let me get Rita call back into the room. Very good. Okay. Where are we with regard to the cases pending?
Your Honor, we are going to do a plea deal here. The no seatbelt and the FTA are going to be dismissed in exchange for a plea of no contest on speeding in the school zone. And right now, the total balance on speeding in the school zone is $279. And I told Ms. Call that I would have that reduced to $215. And then she would like to get on a payment plan for that.
Okay. I have no trouble with that. I'm just making notes and looking. Ms. Call, I'll follow the recommendation that has been made by the prosecutor. I did receive your income information and I reviewed it quickly. I have no trouble doing the reduction. We'll do that. And then we need to get a signature on a payment plan. So in
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
I do need to get your signature on a payment plan today. Can you come by the court to do that?
Yes.
What time will you be here?
Give me about 2 hours.
That will work fine. We'll see you around.
Okay.
Can you pay $30 a month?
Yes.
Okay, when you get here, are you able to make that payment?
Yes.
Okay. We'll see you shortly.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Mr. Matson, I'm moving you forward. Your next person is Colton Enos. No, I apologize. It's April Gill. Miss Gill, can you unmute, please?
Yes.
Oops. You did it right when I did it, so you wound up getting remuted. I apologize. Can you unmute?
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me?
Do that meeting. This is on show. Thank you. I'm totally confused. I'm sorry. I had an April bill and then I also had a read call. Was April bill? Okay, that's what I thought. April Gill was on the over. Okay, they were talking. Okay, got it. Sorry, I kept interposing those two names on that. Okay. Mr. Matson, weirdly, the system will not let me bring April Gill back. So either she has to do it herself or she's got to hang up and log back in. Because
Okay, I will let her know.
Okay, thanks. This is Christine Garcia and it's not listed. No, it's a free trial for today, but just let me know what I need to do. I don't know if it's one that got settled or she's not here. Very good. Okay. Thank you, Miss Gill. I don't know why, but Mr. Matson, where are we with regard to these matters?
Am I muted?
Your Honor, we're going to go ahead and set for final, but Ms. Gill and I have reached a tentative agreement, so I anticipate these cases will be off of that docket.
Okay. Ms. Gill, what that means is that I'm still expecting you in court on that day. If I receive something that allows me to cancel that date, I'll sign it probably, but you'll want to check that morning and just make sure you don't need to be here, because if you think you don't need to be here, and Mr. Matson thinks you don't need to be here, but I think you need to be here, that means I need to talk to everybody and you need to be here. So just to make sure we don't lose communication, unless it's totally off, you're here, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there.
Otherwise, I don't get involved in that discussion.
I'm sorry you broke out.
Yeah, it has to do with your connection, so I'll just see you then, or.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Mr. Matson, moving you forward with Mr. Enos. Mr. Enos, can you unmute?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I will move you over to that meeting. Okay. Still working. Thank you. You okay? I'll be right with you. Okay. Give me 1 second. All right, on the Enos case, where are we?
Your Honor, I have extended an offer to Mr. Ennis. He's going to take some time to think about it. So we'll go ahead and set for final pretrial.
Okay,
There is a chance that it is resolved prior to then.
okay, we're scheduled for May 31st at 3 p.m. And unless the case is already on a resolution where I've signed and removed it from that docket, we'll all be here in the court that day. Okay,
Yes, Your Honor.
thank you, Mr. Enos.
Thank you.
You're good to go.
All right, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm